All right, old buddy. 18 months delayed.
Has it been 18 months already?
Was it worth the wait?
Oh, I believe so. I think this was a fitting send-off to the end of an era.
No time to wait.
Daniel Craig. I like it.
We'll see, I guess. All right, man. Let's just hop into it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nightcap.
Welcome back, everybody.
Cheers. Man, No Time to Die, Daniel Craig. This is
finally
it. Wrapping up the series here. So pretty excited to do this one. We did, if any people didn't catch it, we did Spectre last week. Go back and watch that review. We're just doing a little remind ourselves where the story left off. It's been a great series so far. So we're gonna get into No Time to Die right now and dice it up here. But before we do that, Al, what are you drinking tonight?
It's a Sunday night. Just water. Taking it easy.
Okay, all right. Well, in honor of Bond here.
Hydrated.
Yes. A little whiskey tonight.
Shaken, not stir.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter, but for bourbon, but
whiskey.
Yeah. If anybody's curious, I shook it. I don't. There it is. It is what it is. But this is your first time to the show. About to do an in-depth review of the movie. We'll break down it by category and give actually a numeric score. And I'll go ahead and put up our grading system right now so you guys can follow along. Also, please feel free to leave comments below. Let us know what you guys think of the movie. Any of your thoughts on the whole series too, really. We're looking forward to hearing your guys' feedback on that. Also, if you guys are so inclined, I'll go ahead and put up our Instagram as well so you can follow us along there too and just see what we're up to. But we really want to dive into this movie. So I think today what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a review, give our overall thoughts of the movie, no spoilers. But then in the second half of the review, we're going to get into some deeper thoughts on the movie. And actually, there will be spoilers. So if you're interested in that, please, stick with us till the end. And if not, feel free to hop off whenever you guys are ready. But man, I'm really looking forward to getting into this review here, bud. Let's just go into it. No Time to Die.
Let's do it.
The story. What do you think about the overall story here in this? I mean, it's they've kind of tied them, all the movies together. This is the fifth of the franchise, if you will. The last one, we weren't too crazy about it, right? I think I gave it a 67. You gave Spectre a 68. What do you think about how they handled this one?
I liked how they handled this one because honestly, this is actually the first Bond series of a character playing Bond that had like a progressive storyline. All the other Bonds with Sean Connery and all them, almost like all the movies were almost like single storylines where you didn't need to watch any of the other ones. So I like that, and I like this one. I like the plot. I mean, I gave it a 6 out of 10. They're just kind of just tying everything up. James Bond, he's like not necessarily enjoying retirement, but brooding in retirement, and then, and I like the old throwback to Casino Royale. His buddy from the CIA, Felix, came out. He's like, "Hey man, we need your help." And he's like, "All right, I got nothing else going. So, you need help fighting the scientists." He's like, "All right." But it's never that simple, right? Right, guys?
Never is.
Never that simple. And what happens? He uncovers a plot. Hercules. From biological weapon. All right. Targeted DNA. Very timely for current events.
Wink, wink, nod, nod. Bill Gates, I'm looking at you.
Wink, wink. Bill Gates is the villain here. Spoiler alert. I'm sorry. All right. Fauci's the villain here. And so I gave it a 6, 6 out of 10. Not groundbreaking it by any means, but it's nice that they're tying everything up together.
Gotcha. I was a little generous on this one. I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10. I just like the way that they handled it, the intensity level of the story. This is the 5th one in the series. And like we kind of said in Spectre, it just kind of felt like it was getting a little formulaic, especially for me. And there's definitely a lot of the familiar themes here, but I like the way that they did go back to Casino Royale. They gave a nod to Vesper, give a nod to, like you said, Felix's characters here. And, then the way that they kind of break into the story, it just felt reinvigorated to me, the energy level, whereas Spectre felt kind of flat. I think that this one just felt like, I don't know, just the intensity level was there. And I really like the way I don't want to get into any spoilers, but I just really like the way that they handled it. I thought that they did justice, and particularly the ending. I really like the way they did handle the ending. They really brought things in, and I thought the writers showed a little bravery rather than taking the easy way out, if you will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But let's get ahead and get into the cinematography, or I'm sorry, get into the production. In terms of production, I mean, these movies always look great. What'd you give it in terms of production?
I give it a 17 out of 20. Like you said, you're gonna get what a Bond movie is gonna be. Great cinematography, the locales. Right when that first began locale, that city, that stone city, I'm like, I want to go there. And I had to look it up after the movie. It was like a city in Italy called Matera. So like that, Jamaica. Fun little fact: Jamaica is where Ian Fleming created James Bond.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Little side note for you guys. And he has a villa in Jamaica called Goldeneye, Ian Fleming. So that's another little hint there. And I think James Bond's house in this movie was like kind of like a little nod to Ian Fleming's villa also.
Oh,
and yeah,
cool.
and then Cuba, obviously, and then stunts were there, action sequences were there, but to me, they were toned down. They weren't as flashy as the last two movies, which, hey, that's fine with me. You don't always have to outdo the previous movie. I'm looking at you, Fast and Furious. All right. And all right, James Bond didn't go into space in this one. All right, guys.
Maybe he should have. Here's the thing: is if he had to do that to save the world, I guarantee he would have. All right.
Oh, he would have. So I gave it a 17 out of 20. I didn't give it higher than that
zero
because
gravity.
I didn't because I did not like the new theme song.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I was going to touch on that. Yeah, the Billie Eilish song.
Billie Eilish.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. It didn't really like leave a big impact on me. It was just kind of like subtle. And one thing I will say, I did like the I don't know what you call it, like the montage, like the graphics in the whole opening sequence there. Kind of like they had that 60s vibe, and then it kind of flowed into like the underwater stuff, and it had a really cool, I don't know, for lack of a better word, graphics. Anyways, I thought it looked great visually. The song itself I thought was okay, didn't bother me. Whereas the Sam Smith song kind of like, it was just overly shrill for me. I just didn't enjoy it. This one was just okay.
All right,
well, in terms of
I'm not a big fan of Billie Eilish regardless. So
all right, okay, there you go. The little shade on Billie Eilish is hey, why not?
I'm sorry. I'm not throwing shade at Billie Eilish. All right. She has a lot of fans. I'm sure her music's great. It's just not for me.
All right, okay. All right. I guess she is the bad guy.
Ooh, that's a good pun there, guy.
I digress.
I see what you did there.
All right. Well, in terms of production, I guess I'm gonna be like heavy-handed on this movie. I give it a 19. And I really like the cinematography. I like the stunts. I actually thought there was some really great stunts in here. I know what you mean. I mean, in terms of like the last one, there was some, I guess you could say, bigger stunts. No one gets chased by a plane through the snow in this one, but there was some really cool ones, and we'll dive into that once we get into the spoilers. But I like that. I also like the use of sound. There's several like explosions where like there's just like that kind of intense ringing and stuff like that, and kind of like that visceral effect. Even when they're in the car, they're getting shot and hitting the bulletproof glass. Thought that was cool the way he handled that. It just felt grittier to me. Whereas the last two Sam Mendes movies, they kind of lost that a little bit, and I like that he brought that back. Yeah, I thought that was cool. And then some of the gunfight scenes too at the end, they were a little more like close quarter stuff, and I thought it was cool. I mean, still James Bond can never miss, which I get it. You know what I mean? That's he's James Bond, but
last movie. Right?
Yeah, there was some really great shots, particularly also too, and just in terms of cinematography, that one shot when they're going into the lab and the I don't know what you call them, the henchmen guys are like going down the side of the building. You can see the sunset like reflected into the side right there. Looks like they're because they're walking on the glass. I thought that was really cool. There was several shots where I was like, wow, actually while I was watching it. So I thought they did a really good job. But let's get into performances. That's what it's all about here. Daniel Craig, Leia Seydoux. We got Christoph Waltz is back on this one here.
Oh yeah.
We got how do you say the villain's name? Rami. I forget his last name.
Rami Malek.
Yeah.
Malek.
And so he's back. We also got, obviously Mallory M's back, Q's back, Naomi Harris. What'd you think?
I gave the acting 23 out of 30. I definitely gave it more than Spectre just because Daniel Craig, it didn't seem as like he phoned it in this time. Like he was like, all right, this is my last hurrah. I'm going to put like some effort into this one. Not like Spectre where he was kind of like just going through the motions. So I like that. I like that they brought back Waltz because like I said in our previous review of Spectre, he was so underutilized in that movie for being the main villain. So I like that his interaction, no spoiler alerts here, but his interaction with James Bond in the one scene that he had here, in No Time to Die kind of was better than everything he did in Spectre. And yeah, so I really like that. Rami Malek as Safin. Is it Safin? Yeah, Safin.
Mm-hmm.
I felt he didn't do a bad job, but I just felt that being the last Daniel Craig Bond movie, he deserved a better villain for it. I mean, I get the whole aspect where this last movie is just to focus on Bond, but he still needed a good protagonist to move things along. And I felt like this one was almost as thrown in like as how Blofeld was in Spectre. But so yeah, 23 out of 30. But we got to give the people what they want. We needed more Anna de Armas. All right, one scene was not enough.
She was great. She was super charming in this movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She always is, though. To be honest with you, but her and Craig have a cool chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way they use her too. They didn't overuse her. They showed discipline, like in the way that they use her. And yeah, I thought she was awesome.
Yeah, like if she was a new 007, I'd watch. I don't care. There, I said
it. All right. Well, man, again, I'm here with the heavy-handed grades. I give it 26.
Ooh.
I actually really liked it.
Paid off.
Daniel Craig was, I mean, he was great. He was way more, like you said, just tuned in this time. He's looking a little older these days, which is, it's just fine. But I was really hard on him and Madeline Swan's character, Bond, and Leah Seydoux' character in the last movie. I felt like this one kind of made up for it. The same way you said, like having Christoph Waltz back, give him a chance to kind of redeem himself a little bit versus Spectre and give a little bit more of the character so we could kind of get a little more detail. I thought their relationship, their chemistry felt way more natural, especially in the whole like opening sequences. And again, no spoilers as the movie develops too. I thought it felt more real. But they also hint at some other things too, which are pretty cool, which we'll save for the end there. But then also too, the other supporting cast, they're always solid. As far as Rami as the bad guy, like you said, it's kind of hard because they already gave us Spectre. So he's not like the kingpin, if you will.
Yeah.
He felt kind of like more like a typical Bond villain, of course, on his secret island, hatching up some crazy scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought he did a good job. He was creepy, and he didn't try to like overshadow anybody. He just tried to be that character. It wasn't totally developed, but he played it well in what small role that he got. Whereas I would say like in the last movie, Inspector, Blofeld's character was, I don't know, it was kind of lacking in any kind of tension or evilness or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, but let's get into the directing. This is kind of really what separated this movie for me. What'd you give it in terms of directing score wise?
Directing, I gave it a 24 out of 30. I know this is a director I've never heard of, but I like the whole vibe that he brought upon for this one. It's definitely, I know I texted you before right after the next day after I watched the movie that it was definitely a different feeling than the Mendes Bond. I definitely appreciate, it is October, we're pushing back the fright cap once again, but I like the horror vibe aspect of the opening scene of the young Madeline, because like that jump scare.
I don't want to give it away. That was a little bit of a spoiler.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was a great horror aspect to it. Like, there was a little jump scare with the window, and I like I said, I like all the throwbacks to Casino Royale with like the car with Felix, and that they were pretty much just tying the story up. This is a direct sequel to Spectre because it started right off after Spectre. It's almost as if he was trying to clean up everything from Spectre that was disappointing. Which, hey, good job. He did a good job.
Yeah, in terms of directing, man, I really gave it a high score here. I give it 28. I thought he had a tough role to do here, tough job. He's coming in at the end of this series here, which is like, already kind of, most fans like it. Most fans have allotted Daniel Craig's performance in this and everything. And so has kind of got the mantle of having to wrap this up, which isn't easy. And as much as we gave Sam Mendes, a hard time in the last movie, he's still a pretty accredited director. And
absolutely. 100%.
It wasn't an easy job to do. And I thought he did well. And I really liked the way he pushed the story, but at the same time kept the tone similar enough. It felt like a little Casino Royale, a little Spectre, a little Skyfall. Like it had all of that, and the way he tied up some loose ends, if you will, but at the same time, kind of made this its own story. I thought he did a good job, and we had to wait a long time for this. And I went into it green. purposely tried not to watch like the trailers or really hear anything about it because I just wanted to just see it and see what I thought as this series wrapped up, and I was impressed. So yeah, I gave it a pretty high score for me. I'm usually pretty picky. He doesn't have a big resume, so we'll see what he does next. I thought this was pretty good job. All right, but now let's go ahead and get into in this case here, actually I'm going to save the X Factor talking points because I think we're probably going to get into some spoilers. But go ahead and give your overall total score, and then we'll wrap it up before we dive into the spoilers.
All right. All around overall score, a very good 80 out of 100. So I definitely recommend that you watch it in the big screen. Do not, like, everything's open. Watch it in the big screen. Do not wait to rent it into your TV, no matter how big your TV is.
And no matter how good your surround sound is. All right. Well, you know what? I mean, you probably could tell from my scores already. I ended up giving it a 90. Give it a pretty high score. It was one of those scores too where like I did it and then I was like, I actually went back over and bumped a couple things up because I really just really liked it. And maybe it was just that initial buzz from coming out of the theater. Maybe if I watch it a second time, maybe I'll cool off a little bit. But I really like this movie, man. I was really impressed the way that they handled it. And I thought it was a fitting end to this franchise here. And so I really am anxious to getting into some of these like spoiler talking points here.
Yeah,
so,
let's get to the fun stuff.
At this point, if you guys haven't watched the movie, if you're looking forward to watching it, I would encourage you to go do so. Check it out, come back and finish this video later. But if you guys still want to stick around and hear some spoilers, we're going to go ahead and dive into that right now. So there's your warning before we get into it. And
put up a spoiler warning right now.
Yeah, I will. I'll go ahead and put up one right now. All right, there you go. You've been warned. All right, so let's get into the X Factor. What'd you give it in terms of X Factor?
10 out of 10. I had to, babe.
You were kind of like catfishing me a little bit. I was like, man, this guy didn't like this movie. And then here you go. All right.
10 out of 10, because this was such a good send-off to a very flawed and tragic James Bond. Daniel Craig just did such a great job bringing a realness, authenticity to James Bond that no other James Bond before him had. And yeah, and this is the first time that a 007 has been killed in a movie. And you wanted to have him have a happy ending with his daughter, with Madeline, but with the way he was portrayed as James Bond, this was a fitting end. And you can see it in his face. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I thought the same thing. Like, this is the way his story had to end, knowing the way he played the character and the way this guy was kind of reckless. I mean, he was always like in control, but like right there on the brink. And so I thought that was great the way that they did that. And in terms of the whole series and everything, I mean, I ended up giving it a 9 out of 10. Nothing's perfect, and that's the kind of way I think when I grade things. But obviously, you could tell how much I like this movie, and it's like an end of an era, right?
Oh, absolutely, end of an era. Daniel Craig has been 15 years as Bond, and the most successful run financially, critically. And and honestly, like, I got the same feeling at the end where I had that sadness, but like happy feeling, satisfied feeling, like I did when the last Christian Bale Batman. And I was just like, this is how it had to end. He couldn't have a happy ending, but you could see it in his face once the missiles were coming down on him. He looked content with his decision also.
Yeah, he had to go out as that kind of just martyr, like tragic hero type. I think it's big shoes to fill. I don't know who they're going to get next. I hope they give us a little break in between before they give us the next one, before they give us the prequel where we get to see Bond as a teenager and they reinvent him again. But like his combination, Craig's combination of just the way he handled it, of just like charisma and grit, like I said, just brutality, the way he would actually, he looked like someone who was a general badass. It's going to be hard to fill, man. I was kind of going over some names in my mind, like of like who could replace this guy. I'm like, man, I don't know how they're going to do it. And the whole series in general, I mean, it wasn't perfect. Quantum of Solace wasn't a very good movie. Spectre, again, was pretty much a big letdown, but when it had highs, they were pretty big highs. Casino Royale, I mean, up until that point, honestly, I wouldn't even consider myself a Bond fan, to be honest with you. And he brought in a whole generation of people, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I did not care for any of the Pierce Brosnan Bonds. Honestly, I think he set Bonds back but a lot with his portrayal of Bond. And then, and there was the backlash of like when Daniel Craig got cast as Bond. They're like, you cannot have a blonde, blue-eyed Bond. That's not Bond. But boy, did he prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, he really did. What was your or what would you say was the most surprising like element of this new Bond flick for you?
Well, obviously he died. I mean, they try to reel you in with the title too. No Time to Die. Well, apparently this guy had time. All right, he had time. he had time. He had time.
Apparently, there was 9 minutes before the missiles reached the island. I was there. I remember Q said it multiple times.
Yeah, and and that was what else.
Didn't you just know it too? Like when he's running through that hallway and then he sees the little bunny rabbit, you're like, "Here we go."
It's too perfect.
Yeah,
it's too perfect. And then you just see the bay doors closing again. You're like, oh shit, no. No,
I know.
And then,
when he sends them off on the boat, right, and like they get like enveloped like in the light, you're like, they're never meeting ever again. Like that's it. Like
no,
this is it.
That was very Gladiator-esque. Where I'm like, oh no, he ain't coming back to meet you. All right, unless it's in Valhalla. But yeah, man.
Well, I mean, just the fact that they even gave him a family, like I thought that could have totally not worked. But it somehow did for me. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming a softie now. It actually did work for me. And I was just like kind of surprised just the way that he actually showed like emotion and vulnerability. The thing is like with him is like he always played the character like the guy had nothing to lose because he did have nothing to lose. And so the one time you get emotionally invested, like, oh crap, he's got a little family now. You're like, oh shoot, here we go. Right? When he has to actually
and then it reels you in. Yeah, and then it reels you in emotionally because like you said, the past 4 movies, he threw away girls like nothing, on to the next. And then you're like, all right, he's going to do the same here. But then now he has a kid and he has Madeline. And then you're like, okay, let's go with a happy ending like all the other Bonds, right? And then boom.
Yeah.
Pulls the chair from you.
Yeah. And for me, I would say like in terms of one of my favorite parts was honestly just the beginning, right? When the movie kicked off, that sequence when he goes to Vesper's grave and it blows up. I was just like, boom, all right, here we go. Like this movie's getting serious. And then they didn't waste any time. They have that crazy chase through that town. And I just thought it was really cool. Even that chase right there. I like the part where he's on the bridge and he like ducks behind that rock at the last second. That car like flips over him. And then he jumps off on the cable. Like I was just like, I was getting some serious Casino Royale vibes. I was like, all right, I like where this is going right away.
Yeah, that was actually my favorite scene as well. I was kind of debating that or the Cuba scene just because Anna the Armas was in there.
That was a great scene too. That was a great scene.
But I'll definitely give it to the beginning. It wasn't even the beginning scene, but the big action sequence opening, right? Because it kind of lulls you to sleep because right off the other Bonds, there was a big action sequence right away. And then this one didn't. So it kind of lulls you to sleep. Even funny thing, I was kind of just thinking that to myself in the movie. I was like, hey, how come there's no big scene? And then literally, boom, like when he's in Vesper's grave, and it kind of rocks you because
he's shocked, right? His character is like literally shocked on the ground, like what?
Yeah, and then it's like just on the ground running, and didn't stop until the end of the movie.
Yeah, it really didn't. In terms of, was there anything that you didn't like that maybe kind of made you cringe a little bit?
Like I said, the villain. I felt like he deserved a better villain for his last movie, but then, like I said, I get it. You didn't want the villain to overshadow Bond because this is a Bond film, especially his send-off. You didn't want it to be more about the villain or like side characters. You wanted it to be about Bond, and this film was totally all about him.
Yeah, I think for me, I put the Logan Ash character, the bad CIA guy. Like it was just so on the nose and obvious. He just felt like a plot device. Like I'm not even sure we really even needed him, to be honest. Not even
I don't think so.
Good
either.
Plot device. So yeah, that one I felt kind of lazy in a movie that didn't feel lazy to me. One thing, I mean, I'm sure everyone kind of talked about, like there was some, I don't know if it's controversy, but people were kind of making a thing about Nomi's character being the replacement in 007. Like, okay, because there's so much of this like stuff going on now where you're like usurping the hero and replacing him with someone of a different gender or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. It was just whatever to me. It didn't like hurt the movie. It didn't really help it either. I kind of saw the way they did it. It felt a little forced. I didn't think they needed to even, again, her character too. I'm like, did we really need her character? I don't know. That could have been a call from the big movie execs. Like we need a little diversity in here to make it work. But she was fine in terms of her acting and her character as well. It was okay.
You could tell they try to reel it back in. Like, I don't know if it was the director's first choice, but they always try to inject it where they always mention 007. It's just a number. It's just a number. It's not James
Yeah.
Bond. It's just a number. So they try to always like interject that just to make people think, don't worry, this is not going to be the new James Bond. She's not going to be taking over.
Yeah, it was what it was in terms of like you said, the villain with Rami's character too. He wasn't totally hashed out, and I mean, I'm glad they resisted another cyber threat, which I feel like all these movies have had for some reason, by having like this bioweapon, which was okay. I don't know. It still was a little weird, like how people like instantly died, and then it felt like a little convoluted to me. Like, oh, okay, and then this person's the carrier, they deliver the weapon, and it knows your DNA instantly. It was just,
Yeah,
I don't know, a little bit to it. If I wanted to like really like kind of dissect it, I definitely could, go that route and kind of pick it apart. But it played its part, it played its role, and it gave the reason why he couldn't escape the island, right? To be back with them, and you knew it wasn't going to have a happy ending. So I thought it worked for what it needed to be. In terms of the movies, we kind of hinted at this already. Where do you think this ranks in terms of the 5 movies? Best to worst, where would you place this?
That's a tough one because it's a great movie. Will I put it ahead of Casino Royale? Absolutely not. I actually just rewatched Casino Royale on a whim last night. It's such an amazing movie. Not just an amazing Bond movie, but just an amazing movie, period. So obviously I'm not going to put that above Casino Royale. Casino Royale won by far. Can I put it ahead of Skyfall? I won't say that either. So I'll put it third behind Skyfall, obviously ahead of Spectre and ahead of the stinker that was Quantum of Solace.
I kind of cheated a little bit on this one. I ended up putting this movie and Casino Royale as a tie. I thought they were good. I thought they were good bookends.
Cop out.
It was a little bit of a cop out, a little bit, but I would look at them both. And here's the thing too: I haven't watched Casino Royale in a little bit, so if I just watch it, then I could be a little bit more, stringent on it and be like, okay, this is 1-1. But at least in terms of the impressions in my mind, I thought they were excellent bookends. They had similar vibe and similar energy. I like the way that we reintroduced to this new Bond, and then the way he went out. And I love that the writers had the courage, like I said, to let him go. And it was good for the fans too. There's not that doubt in your mind, like, well, he might come back. Well, he survived somehow miraculously. It's like, no, like they did justice to the character. So I like the way that they did that. From there, I'd probably put Skyfall behind that. I really like that movie. I thought that was a really great one in the series. Then I'd probably give Spectre, and then lastly, Quantum of Solace. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm kind of sad to see the character go. Yeah, like you said, it was like bittersweet at the end for me. Like I was legit like going like, oh man, but kind of happy at the same time. So we'll see what happens next with the franchise. I don't know. We'll see what's next for Daniel Craig too. I wonder what that guy's going to be up to after this. I mean,
just right off into the sunset, man. You have enough money and enough like fame that you could just don't do anything else. You don't need to. But he's going to be the next Knives Out, obviously, as a detective. So
yeah, with that horrible accent.
It wasn't a horrible accent. It's just you're just taken aback by James Bond having like a southern accent.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. All right. Well, that's all I got. Let's kick it over to the people watching. What did you guys think of this movie? If you guys saw it, how did you think this series ended? Did it meet your guys' expectations? Was it below them? Was I, too heavy-handed in terms of my grading? Do you agree with Al? What do you guys think? And where does it fit for you guys in terms of the whole series? The filmography for these movies. Was it your favorite? Was it in the middle of the pack? What do you guys think? Please leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys think. And yeah, man, I don't know. Any other closing thoughts out before we wrap this one up?
Yeah, and just let us know, who do you think should be the next Bond as well? Like, hopefully we won't see a next Bond for another at least 5 years. Let this one kind of cool down and all that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what everyone thinks who the next Bond should be. I honestly don't have any suggestions. I don't know who could fill Daniel Craig's shoes. It's just tough right now.
I mean, it has to be a prequel, right? They're going to have to start all over again, right?
Well, not a prequel, or like just totally clean slate and just have another universe, not canon anymore, of like another Bond, and see what happens.
Should be interesting. Like you said, I just hope they give us a little distance between this movie and the next one. Not like the Batman, where literally like one's like really cooling off, and they already got a
once a quarter. All right.
Yeah, and then you got Michael Keaton still floating around somehow. I don't know. But all right, well, yep, that's all we got from the Nightcap. Man, No Time to Die. Great ending to a great series. And until next time out there, you guys, everybody, cheers.